morning, students. So in the last class we discussed the coordinate covalent bond. After that we discussed the main differences between the ionic compounds and covalent compounds. Now today's topic is bond parameters. Generally in covalent compounds, in between the two atoms the covalent bonds are present. These covalent bonds are same or different. For example, between carbon and carbon, the single covalent bond is present, and hydrogen is also the single covalent bond is present. What is the difference between these two covalent bonds? Is there any difference is present or not? So, to answer such questions, this concept is useful, that is bond parameters. This is very clearly say that all the covalent bonds are not same. If all the covalent bonds are not same, where the differences exist between these covalent bonds exist between the two atoms in different molecules, that is differed in certain bond parameters. What are the bond parameters? Bond length, bond angle, bond dissociation enthalpy, and bond order. So these are the four properties which are useful to distinguish the covalent bonds from one another. All these four together we simply called as bond parameters. These bond parameters are useful to characterize the covalent bonds present in different molecules. So let us discuss one by one. The first bond parameter is bond length. What is bond length? The bond length is defined as the average distance between the centers of the nuclei of two bonded atoms in a molecule. That is called as bond length. For example, a molecule is formed AB. In between A and B, the covalent bond is present. In between A and B, covalent bonds are present. Say for example, this is atom A and this is atom B. Atom B, A and B. This is the center of nuclei and this is the center of nuclei of respective atoms A and B. So here A and here B. You simply say the average distance between the centers of the nuclei of two bonded atoms. From this nuclei to this nuclei, whatever the distance is there, so that distance is called as simply the bond length. This is called as the distance between the two centers of nuclei of two bonded atoms, that is DAB. DAB is called as bond length. And when we see individually from this distance, from the center of the nuclei of A to here and the center of the nuclei of B to here are individually called as covalent radii. This is very clearly discussed in the periodicity in properties, covalent radii, van der Waals radii, ionic radii, like that we can define very clearly in the periodicity in properties. So that's why from the center of the nuclei to the mean position of the shared pair of electrons is called as here the radii of A. From the center of the nuclei of B to the mean position of the shared pair of electrons B, that is called as radii of B. And that means simply we get the distance between the two centers of the nuclei of bonded atoms is equal RA plus RB. Radii of A plus radii of B. That is called as bond length. So normally, experimentally, this distance can be determined by various techniques, either using spectroscopic technique or X-ray diffraction technique or electron diffraction techniques are used experimentally to determine the distance between the centers of the nuclei of two bonded atoms. And length you know very well, the size is very small of an atom. Generally that is we are expressed in terms of that units, either angstrom or picometer units. For example, so here I would like to example with a certain, okay, the data there is no need to be remembered, just for that is for our understanding. For example, let us take an ethyl alcohol molecule. You know very well ethyl alcohol molecule, that is C2H5OH. This is ethanol or ethyl alcohol molecule. So if you want to determine the distance between the oxygen and hydrogen, because here the bond present between oxygen and hydrogen is an covalent bond, then what is the distance between oxygen and hydrogen? So nothing but simply here the radii of oxygen plus radii of hydrogen you can take in. What is the radii of oxygen? So that is 74 plus radii of hydrogen, that is 37. So is equal to total when we are together 111 picometer. So like that we can calculate the bond length between the two atoms. So once we know that atomic radii or covalent radii of the two atoms which are involving in the covalent bond, it is easy to calculate by adding the radii of both the atoms. We are getting the bond length of the two bonded atoms. And here, so what are the factors which are influencing this bond length? There are two factors which are influencing the bond length. One is bond multiplicity. Bond multiplicity. And the second one is size of the atom. Size of the atom. So these are the two factors which are influencing the bond length. What do you mean by the bond multiplicity? Is nothing but the number of bonds present between the atoms. For example, here carbon is there. In between carbon, sometimes single bond is present, sometimes double bond is present, sometimes triple bond is present. So here the two atoms are same in all the cases, are involving in the bonding. Here the covalent bond, here also covalent bond, here also covalent bond. But only the difference is what is that? The number of bonds present between the two carbon atoms are different. Then how we can define the bond length? When we can define the bond length here, that average distance between the center of the two nuclei of two bonded atoms in a molecule. So now when we add the distance between the center of the nuclei of two carbon atoms in all the three cases, what we are expected is, in all the cases we are getting the same bond length if you are normally applied. But the bond length is different from carbon-carbon single bond to carbon-carbon double bond to carbon-carbon triple bond. In all the cases the bond lengths are not same. The bond length is different from one another. So because the covalent radii of the two bonded atoms which are participated in the multiple bonds is different from one another. And that means whenever this carbon is involved in a single bond formation, the covalent radii whatever we are using, that is different from the carbon which is involved in the formation of the multiple bond, either double bond or triple bond. So in all the cases the covalent radii is not same even though the atom is same. So for example, generally whenever it is forming the single bond, the covalent radii is nearly the 77. The carbon covalent radii is 77 when it forms only single bond. So the same carbon, if it is involved in the multiple bond, the covalent radii is 67 whenever it can form the two bonds. Whenever it can form the three bonds, the covalent radii is 60. So that is the triple bond is formed between the three carbon atoms. Even though atom is same, but the covalent radii is different. This covalent radii is different whenever it can form the different multiple bonds, single, double, triple. That's why in all the cases did you get the same bond length? We never get the same bond length. That's why the carbon-carbon single bond is different from carbon-carbon double bond and carbon-carbon triple bond. Now the question is, which is having the more bond length, which is having the less bond length? You can see here, as the number of bonds present between the atoms are increases, the covalent radii is decreases. When the covalent radii is decreases of the bonded atoms, this value is decreases of A and B, then the DAB is also what happen better? Decreases. That's why as the number of bonds present between the atoms are increases, the bond length is decreases. That's why the carbon-carbon single bond is greater than carbon-carbon double bond is greater than carbon-carbon triple bond. That's why as the bond multiplicity increases, the bond length is decreases. As the number of bonds present between the atoms is increases, the bond length is decreases. For example, the nitrogen-nitrogen single bond is there, nitrogen-nitrogen double bond is there, nitrogen-nitrogen triple bond is there. So among these three, which is said to be having the larger bond length? Wherever the single bond is present, that is always said to be greater than that of double than that of triple bond. Among the oxygen and oxygen, if single bond is there, oxygen, double bond is there. So where the bond length is smaller, between the oxygen and oxygen, the number of double bonds are present, that is said to be having the less bond length than the, which one? This one. That's why the single bond is always greater than the double bond is always greater than the triple bond. And the next factor which is influencing the bond length, that is size of the atom. As the size of the atom is increases, so the bond length is also increases. Because as the size of the atom is increases, the distance between the center of the nuclei to the mean position of the shared pair of electron is also increases. That means the radii is increases. When the radii is increases, the bond length is also increases. That's why as the size of the atom involved in the bonding is also increases, the bond length is also increases. For example, silicon, and germanium. All these are belongs to the same group. Okay, this is the first member of the group 14, then second member, this is the third member. As we go down the group, the atomic radii is what happen? Increases. When atomic radii increases, so the radii of that particular atom is nothing but simply increases, then bond length is also increases. That's why carbon-carbon single bond is always less than the silicon-silicon single bond is less than the germanium single bond. That's why as the size of the atom is increases, the bond length is also increases because of their respective covalent radii is also increases. So like that, so these are the two factors which are affecting the bond length. Bond length is nothing but simply the average distance between the center of the nuclei of two bonded atoms in a molecule. What are the units for the bond length? Generally it is expressed in angstroms or picometers. And how do you calculate that bond length? Generally in experimental it is calculated by spectroscopic or X-ray diffraction or electron diffraction technique. Normally how can you calculate it? Just we can calculate the atomic radii of individual atoms which are participated in the bonding. Then the sum of the two atomic radii of bonded atoms which will be results into the average bond length. What are the factors influencing the bond length? Bond multiplicity and size of the atom. As the number of bonds present between the atoms is increases, bond length is decreases. As the size of the atom is increases, so the bond length is also increases. The second bond parameter is bond enthalpy. Normally we call it as bond energy, but the technical term is bond enthalpy. What is bond enthalpy? So bond enthalpy defined as the amount of enthalpy required to break 1 mole of bonds of a particular type between the atoms in the gaseous state. When we take in a molecule, in that one type of bond is there. So one type of bond, if you want to break it, definitely we can utilize a certain amount of energy. So that energy we call as here bond enthalpy. So the amount of energy is required to break 1 mole of a particular type of a bonds between the atoms in a molecule is called as bond enthalpy. So generally the energy is nothing but always we can express in terms of which one? Kilojoule per mole. So here for example, let us take the hydrogen molecule, H2 molecule. So here 1 mole of hydrogen you can take in. This 1 mole of hydrogen is containing how many bonds? 1 mole of bonds. Because each molecule is containing 1 bond. 1 mole of hydrogen molecule consists of 1 mole of bonds. To break this 1 mole of HH bonds, whatever the energy is required, that is 435.8 kilojoule per mole, that is called as bond enthalpy of HH bond. Suppose the oxygen, these are held together by the double bonds. The lines are present, that is clearly indicates double bond. So here only one type of bond this is. So to break these double bond present between the two oxygen atoms, so whatever the energy is required, that is called as bond enthalpy of O double bond O bond, that is 498.0 kilojoule per mole. In the case of the nitrogen molecule, again here also 1 mole of triple bonds are present. So to break 1 mole of triple bond, whatever the energy is required, that is 946.0 kilojoule per mole, is called as bond enthalpy of N triple bond N. So these are the very simple molecules. These are the diatomic molecules. In that one, we can easily explain. Suppose if the polyatomic molecule or polyatomic ions are present, it is not easy to explain like they explained in the HH or O double bond O, N triple bond N. In that case, instead of the bond enthalpy, we are taken the new term, that is average bond dissociation enthalpy or average bond enthalpy. This is we can apply for which molecules? Polyatomic molecules. Polyatomic molecules means more than the 2 atoms are involved in the formation of a molecule. So now, in the case of the polyatomic molecule, we are using the term average bond enthalpy. So why we are using the average bond enthalpy? That is, we can understand with the help of a simple example. Water molecule is there. In water molecule, so the 3 atoms, hydrogen, oxygen and hydrogen, are bonded together by the 2 bonds. What are the 2 bonds? One is oxygen hydrogen bond, another one is also oxygen and hydrogen bond. So seems to be the same type of bond. OH bond, here also OH bond. So suppose whenever this water molecule is involved in a particular reaction, first we can break only one covalent bond. By breaking of that is we can break the bond present between O and H. Then we get when hydrogen is moved away and OH is left. H and OH we get. Then from that one I want to remove the one more, okay, I want to break one more OH bond. So this is I want to break now. Then I would like to break. Then I can get H gas and O gas. In both the cases, so I will break the bond present between oxygen and hydrogen. Here also I can break the bond present between the oxygen and hydrogen. Same atoms. Then what you expected? The same amount of energy will be utilized to break that bond. But here, such phenomena is repeats better? No. Here different amount of energy will be utilized. Even though we are breaking the same bond, OH bond, OH bond. So, here 502, here 427. But you are expecting 502, 502, the amount of energy. Why the different amount of energy will be, okay, there, even though the same type of bond is broken? The reason is, in the first case, when you are breaking the first OH bond, the chemical environment is oxygen is attached to the 2 hydrogen atoms. In the second case, when you are breaking the second OH bond, no other hydrogen atom is attached to the oxygen. Only one hydrogen is attached. The chemical environment is completely changes. So from first step to which one? Second step. When the chemical environment is changes, that will be affecting the bond energy. That means that's why the energy is different from first step to second step. Then somebody can ask the question, what is the bond dissociation enthalpy of OH bond? Whether you can answer 502 or 427, there is a confusion state. In that cases, so we can take an average bond enthalpy. Let us take the average of these two, 502 plus 427 divided by 2, then we get 464.5 kilojoule per mole. But in the case of the diatomic molecule, all the time it is same. So hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen double bond O, N triple bond N, the bond dissociation enthalpy will be remain same. But in the case of the polyatomic molecules, it is different. That's why in case of polyatomic molecules or ions, the average bond enthalpy is defined as average enthalpy required to break bonds of a given type in 1 mole of the gaseous molecule. So that is called average bond enthalpy. So average of the two, we are getting the average bond enthalpy. But in the case of the diatomic molecule, the bond dissociation enthalpy is same as the bond enthalpy. This is called bond dissociation enthalpies. These bond dissociation enthalpies will be remained as a bond enthalpies. That means here OH bond enthalpy, here bond dissociation enthalpy of OH in HOH is 502. The bond dissociation enthalpy of OH in OH gaseous molecule is 427. Then what is the bond enthalpy of OH? And that means we can take it as an average. But such an average we need to be taken here? No. Because the bond dissociation enthalpy is remained same as a bond enthalpy. So that's why this is the difference between from the diatomic molecules to polyatomic molecules. In the polyatomic molecule, if more than one type of bond is present, in that case we need to be take the average bond enthalpy. So enthalpy is nothing but energy. So that's why it is also expressed in kilojoule per mole. And here, what are the factors which are influencing the bond enthalpy? The first factor is size of the atom. Size of the atom. So as the size of the atom is increases, so the distance between the two atoms also increases. So when the distance is increases, are they attracted very strongly? No, they are weakly attracted. That's why once weakly attracted, did you need the more amount of energy or less amount of energy? Less amount of energy. And that means as the size of the atom is increases, so the bonded atoms are weakly attracted each other. That's why we can easily break that bond. In that case, we use the very less amount of energy. That's why as the size of the atom is increases, so the bond energy or bond enthalpy decreases. That is the first factor which is influencing the bond enthalpy. The second factor is length of the bond, that is bond length. So bond length means just like the size. As the size of the atom is increases, the length between the two atoms is also increases. When the length is increases, so the bond dissociation enthalpy decreases, because when the length is increases, they are does not attracted very closely to each other, so that bond is become very weak. With less amount of energy, we can easily break the bond. That's why as the bond length is increases, so the bond energy is decreases. Because as the bond length is increases means the bond existing between the two atoms is become weak, we can easily break the bond. So as the third factor, the bond multiplicity. As the number of bonds are increases, bond multiplicity. As the number of bonds are increases between the two atoms, so then the bond energy is increases. Bond multiplicity is increases, the bond energy is also increases. Because as the number of bonds between the atoms are increases, the bond length is decreases. When the bond length is decreases, the bonds are strongly attracted close together. That's why the bond energy is increases. So these are the three factors. As the size of the atom is increases, the bond energy or bond enthalpy decreases, and bond length is increases, the bond enthalpy decreases. As the number of bonds present between the atoms increases, the atoms come very close together, the bond is become very strong. In that case, we require the huge amount of energy. That's why the bond energy is also increases. So simply, bond enthalpy is nothing but the amount of enthalpy required to break 1 mole of bonds of a particular type between the atoms in gaseous state. It is expressed in kilojoule per mole, and the bond enthalpy cannot easily applied in the case of the polyatomic molecules or ions. In that one, we are taken into the average bond enthalpy. So we can calculate the bond enthalpy is required in each step, then we can do the average of all the bond enthalpies. Finally, we are getting the average bond enthalpy. And the factors 3 are very important which are influencing the bond enthalpy. Size of the atom, bond length, bond multiplicity. As the size of the atom is increases, bond enthalpy decreases. As the bond length is increases, bond enthalpy decreases. Bond multiplicity increases, bond enthalpy is also increases. The third parameter is bond angle. So what is bond angle? It's simply the angle between the bonds. So the exact definition of bond angle is the average angle between the orbitals containing bonding electron pairs around the central atom in a molecule. Around the central atom the bonds are present. So between the two bonds whatever the angle is present, that is we simply called as bond angle. So you know very well how we can express the bond angle, that is degree or minute or second. And what is the use of to know the bond angle? So the bond angle gives an idea about the distribution of orbitals around the central atom in a molecule. How these bonds are present around the central atom. So that is can be obtained by the idea of knowing the bond angle. And also it is useful to determine the shape of a molecule. So when the two bonds are separated by certain angle, then what kind of shape we are getting for a molecule also can be obtained with the help of knowing bond angle. For example, you know very well water molecule is there. In the water molecule, the central atom is oxygen. Oxygen is linked to the two hydrogen atoms. So that means the two bonds are present. These two bonds are separated by an angle of 104.5 degrees. That is clearly indicates here these two bondeds are separated by 104.5 degrees means they are in which shape? V shape. So sir, the water molecule is adapted to the V shape. Ammonia molecule is there. In the ammonia molecule, the three hydrogen atoms are attached to the central atom, nitrogen, and in between any two bonds, the angle is 107.5. When the bonds are arranged around the central atom with an angle of 107.5 degrees, so the ammonia molecule is adopted the pyramidal structure. So that the shape of the ammonia molecule is determined as pyramidal. For example, see the carbon dioxide molecule. In the carbon dioxide molecule, the carbon is linked to the two oxygen atoms through the multiple bond, that is double bond. And they are exactly the two bonds are opposite to each other with an angle of 180 degrees. So 180 degrees is the bond angle, then what is the shape of a molecule? Linear shape of a molecule. That means, so by knowing the bond angle, it is possible to determine the shape of a molecule. And this bond angle is never dependent on the either bond enthalpy or bond length. It is an independent parameter which is only gives an idea about how the distribution of the bond pair of electrons around the central atom and what is the shape of a molecule. These two we can be obtained from the bond angle. And comes to the fourth parameter, that is bond order. It is very simple. So in a given molecule, how many bonds are present between the two atoms? That is we can call as bond orders. That is number of bonds present between the atoms in a molecule is called as bond order. For example, hydrogen molecule is there. In case of hydrogen molecule, between the two hydrogen atoms only one bond is present. That's why the bond order is 1. So in between oxygen and oxygen in oxygen molecule, the two bonds are present. That's why the bond order is 2. In case of nitrogen molecule, between the two nitrogen atoms, the 3 bonds are present. That's why the bond order of nitrogen molecule is 3. That means the number of bonds present between the two atoms in a molecule is simply called as bond order. This bond order and bond energy or bond enthalpy and bond length, these are dependent each other, but the bond angle is independent. And one more important point, by studying all this, what we are observed is isoelectronic species having the same bond order. What do you mean by the isoelectronic species? So it may be molecules or ions which are having the same number of electrons. Whichever are having the same number of electrons, they are called as isoelectronic species. So these isoelectronic species are always said to be having the same bond order. For example, here two species are given. One is the fluorine molecule, F2 molecule, and a peroxide molecule, that is O2 minus 2, is called peroxide ion. In the F2 and O2 minus 2, in both the cases the same number of 18 electrons and 18 electrons are present. That's why fluorine F2 molecule and peroxide ion O2 minus 2 are called as isoelectronic species. So that's why in both the cases the bond order is same, the bond order is 1. That means the fluorine and fluorine is linked together by a single bond. Oxygen and oxygen is also will be linked together by the which one? The single bond. So it may be carrying each one is getting the -1 and -1 charge. So that means here in both the cases the same type of bond is present. That's why isoelectronic species is always having the same bond order. So these are the 4 parameters, so which are characterized the covalent bonds present between the atoms in molecules. One is bond length, second one is bond enthalpy, third one is bond angle, and fourth one is bond order. So from all these 3, the one more important conclusion, this is very important to answer many questions. The bond order is represented with B dot O is always directly proportional to bond energy, is inversely proportional to bond length. Bond order is directly proportional to bond energy, is inversely proportional to bond length. So let you compare these two, bond order and bond energy. As the bond order is increases, that means as the number of bonds present between the two atoms are increases, the atoms are come very close together. So they are bonded very strongly. In that case, to break that bond, whether we require the more amount of energy or less amount of energy, more amount of energy. That means the bond enthalpy is more. So as the bond order is increases, bond enthalpy is also increases. That's why bond order is always directly proportional to bond energy. Bond order is inversely proportional to bond length. As the number of bonds present between the two atoms is increases, that means the atoms are come very close together because they are attracted very strongly. When they are come very close together means the distance between the center of nuclei of two bonded atoms is what happens? Decreases. So the distance between the center of the nuclei of two bonded atom decreases means the bond length is decreases. As the bond order is increases, the bond length is decreases. That's why bond order is inversely proportional to bond length. Next, compare these two. We have already explained the factors. Bond energy is inversely proportional to bond length. So as the bond length is increases, so the atoms are move away from each other. So they are not strongly attracted each other. The bond present between them is weak. So that in that case we require the very less amount of energy to break the bond. That's why the bond enthalpy is less. That means as the bond length is increases, so the bond is become weak. So in that case we require the amount of energy is required to break such bonds is what happen better? Decreases. That's why bond energy is always inversely proportional to bond length. This is one of the important conclusion, that is bond order is directly proportional to bond energy, that is inversely proportional to bond length. So this is about the bond parameters, bond length, bond enthalpy, and bond angle and bond order.